We are back in Wings to Adventure, and Tim and the Purple Whistle. Sorry it's a little late. Time uh, adjustment uh, is throwing me off a little bit. No excuses, but I love you. Okay. All right. Father nodded. Purple is for bravery. Many people, even grown-ups, are afraid of things. But Tim, down inside, most people are brave. If they try hard enough, they get brave on the outside too. Blow your whistle only when you're very much frightened. Someday you won't need it any more. Tim put the cord around his neck and tucked the whistle into his shirt pocket. This is a wonderful gift, he thought. Now maybe I won't be a scared cat all my life. Then Mr. Walker and Timothy Allen were off, the wheels of the new wagon creaking and its bells tinkling merrily. They jogged along for a way. Finally, Mr. Walker asked, "Lad, can you keep a secret?" Tim nodded. "Well then, see the short board under your feet? Press it lightly." Sure enough, one board was shorter than the other. But you'd have to look sharp to see that. Tim pressed it until it tipped. Underneath was a small drawer with something inside, a gray calfskin bag. "Take it out," ordered Mr. Walker. As Tim lifted the soft bag, he saw two letters sewn in the blue yarn. Sewn in blue yarn. "Your initials," he exclaimed. "J.W. for Josh Walker." "Right," said the peddler. "It's for our money. We'll make change from a mug, but when we're alone, we'll put the money in here for safekeeping, and nobody will be the wiser." Tim had a prickly feeling all over as he slipped the bag back into its hiding place. He made a vow to himself that he would never forget the first rule of a peddler's boy, to stay by the cart. When they camped for the night, Tim climbed up into the cart and fearfully pulled the blanket over his ears. But before he knew it, he was fast asleep, both hands clutching the purple whistle. At dawn, Tim awoke screaming from a terrible dream. A wolf was chasing him in his dream. Mr. Walker sat up shouting, "What is it?" "A wolf!" cried Tim. Then he heard the peddler roar with laughter. "Fine wolf, lad. It's your little dog Bigsy. By the living laws, now how did that animal catch up with us?" In the days that followed, Bigsy stayed with the cart. Mr. Walker didn't seem to mind too much. Tim felt much braver with his pet by his side, though he did have to blow the purple whistle every so often. The day before the fair came too soon, and about 6 that evening they arrived at Hawk's Nest Inn. Because of the fair, the courtyard and stable were filled with carts and horses. Tim thought he saw the old horse belonging to Mr. Sharp, a peddler who traveled by horseback with an old-fashioned tin trunk strapped to his shoulders. Mr. Walker said to Tim, "Stay by the cart, lad. I have to take some candles to the innkeeper." Suddenly, Tim heard a great clatter of horses' hoofs down the road. Then into the crowded courtyard came a stage-coach pulled by 6 horses. Suddenly, one of the horses became frightened. It snorted and reared. Men ran from all parts of the courtyard to help calm the animals. Tim and Bigsy ran over too. When the horses were quiet again, Tim and his pet returned to the red cart. 10 minutes later, Mr. Walker appeared. As they pulled out of the courtyard, Tim said, "That's Mr. Sharp's horse over there, isn't it?" Mr. Walker nodded. "Met Sharp as I came out. If I hadn't, we'd be selling peppercorns tomorrow." "Peppercorns?" asked Tim in surprise. "Right. The keeper had 3 kegs too many shipped to him. Offered me some to sell at the fair, but when I was leaving, Sharp stepped in and said he sold spices and we didn't. He asked if I would let him have them, so said I would as a favor." On the long way to Northtown, Tim napped on the front seat. Finally, Mr. Walker turned Jonathan, his horse, into a dark lane which followed a stream into the woods. In the moonlight, Tim helped move the tinware to one side. As he was about to settle down, Mr. Walker said, Fetch me the money bag, lad. Sleepily, Tim tipped the short board, reached for the bag, but it wasn't there. He reached again, running his hand quickly into the corners. It still wasn't there. The secret drawer was empty. It's gone, he cried out. What? Mr. Walker ran to the front of the cart. Then he shouted, Why, it is gone. He turned and grabbed Tim by the shoulders. What do you know about this? Tim stammered. It was just before we got to the inn. We put money in it near that schoolhouse. Right, said the peddler, and I still have that candle money from the keeper in my pocket. That means someone at the inn stole it. Then he asked quickly, Did you leave the cart while I was inside? No, sir, answered Tim, but a second later he caught his breath. That wasn't the truth. He had left the cart when he and Bigsy had gone to look at the stagecoach. All right, that's where we'll pause. I love you guys.